Whoa now, whoa now, whoa now. Welcome back to the Black Alpha and your boy, Brother Kush. I know it's been a few days since I put out a video, man, but I'm real busy trying to get these other blogs up. I'm trying to fix it so that I can have content available to y'all that I can't put on YouTube. And I want the content to be available for free. You know, I do have stuff that I could technically put on Patreon for a price, but right now, I really want to build a sort of virtual community of like-minded people online, and I need to have my content available to you in order for us to make that happen. So I'm working on the blog. I'm a one-man army. I'm working on the blog. I'm trying to learn the software so I can invite people on. I mean, I'm doing a whole lot of stuff to help build this movement, right? To help advance this movement that we have going on here. So just be patient with me, bear witness. This is the reality of growing things. Everything takes time, you know what I'm saying? Usually the kind of things that take off quick, they're not really worth it, you know what I'm saying? So if I was saying what people want me to say, my channel would have blown up already, but I'll be just repeating the lies that everybody else is repeating to you. Brother Kush is not here to do that. So on this one here, I want to talk about sacrifice. Now, this was inspired by Sister Mo. Sister Mo said something in my comment section the other day, almost a week ago actually, since I put out a video. And I don't know if she said it consciously or was it just a instinct, a God-given instinct, but she hit on something when she mentioned sacrifice. Because for a community to grow and thrive and maintain itself, the men that are members of that community must be willing to do whatever must be done to see that that community thrive and advance and it's safe for the kids to play outside. The men have to safeguard all that. And this is a part of the problem we have as black people right now because, look, let's stop playing games. Most black people do not have a sense of community with other black people. The whole notion of all for one for all based on race is a myth. It is not real. And to prove that, we just watched the Alabama riverboat brawl that everybody is talking about, right? And all these videos are out there talking about how the black people came together and no, they didn't. No, they didn't. It was a million niggas out there watching that shit take place that didn't do a damn thing. Just standing there with their cell phones. I mean, we have so many angles of this shit, it's not even funny. Everybody just watching, man. You know, the only dude that ran down from up top, he ran down to stop it, and the white boys even swung on him, and he didn't even try to fight back. He was too busy trying to just like be a peacemaker and everything. You know, so you got to ask yourself, why were all these blacks standing around watching that and none of them intervened? The people that was fighting were the people that came off the boat. That was this man's colleagues. That was that man's friends, personal friends, his relatives or whatnot that all worked for that boat. That's who that was that started fighting after the boat docked. To be fair, I don't know who came out the crowd, but the people that were most identifiable had the blue shirts on, right? We can identify them. But the point is, most of the people standing around watching did not intervene because they understand that if they intervene, then they run the risk of losing something personally behind a stranger. Although it was a black man getting stomped out, although they didn't like what they were seeing, he getting jumped by all these white boys. The truth of the matter is, if you intervene, there is a chance that the fight can escalate into something more serious, something more severe, and somebody can get seriously hurt. Whereas now, people are starting to go to jail for a long time, or people are losing their lives, or anything like that. So, you know, before you put yourself in that type of harm's way, you as an individual have to make sure that it's worth it to you as an individual. And it's obvious that the whole notion of race is not enough for anybody to just jump into something and risk their life behind it, right? Okay, not a good enough example, but think about this thing that happened a couple years ago, right? Up here in the Deep Ellum in Dallas. The Deep Ellum is like a French Quarters type of area in Dallas, you know what I'm saying? And I actually don't live too far from Deep Ellum. And this white boy punched up this black chick, you know what I'm saying, in the Deep Ellum. And T.I. wants to go online berating all black men, especially the street dudes, the only dudes that will fight for the black women, by the way. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like that at all. You can't attack the only dudes that will actually physically defend black women. You can't attack them. Because these high value men type dudes, they not fighting for nobody. They ain't putting themselves at risk for nobody, not even their own kids. Most of them dudes are certified cowards. So you can't berate the kinds of men that will fight. The kinds of men you did see on the riverboat scrapping out there. You can't berate those kinds of men, right? Leave those men alone. But anyway, T.I. takes it to the social media. He berates all the black men, talking about where you gangsters at, y'all letting these white boys do this and that. And I actually did a video back then that I since deleted. But the video did very well. You know, it took off immediately. And I checked T.I. on that because he has to understand that what he's talking about is still a stranger. You are saying that black men are supposed to risk their own freedom and lives behind a strange black woman simply because she is black. That is not a realistic thing, man. It's not realistic. It just don't work that way. It has never worked that way. You got a black chick hanging out with white people at 2 a.m. in deep Ellen. I mean, she's more than likely not even a sister that rock with black men. And what you're saying is that black men are supposed to dive in there head first without knowing the circumstances, without knowing any of the factors, and risk their lives of freedom for a strange black woman. They're not going to do that, bro. They're not going to do that. So this notion that all for one, one for all based on race is not real. But when men have something invested, and when men have something to defend and protect, now the question becomes, will the men in that environment stand up and do what's necessary? Now that's a separate question, because now we talk about community now. You know, I always talk about in my neighborhood, right? In my community, how we grew up. We protected the girls in our community. We protected the elders in our community. It didn't matter. Any of the parents of us, any of our parents, all of our parents were free, what was safe. Anybody came through there cursing out any of our moms, they was gonna get stomped out if not shot. We wasn't playing, bro. You know what I'm saying? And don't talk like that to an elderly person. Any elderly person in our community, they were safe. You better not so much as lift your eyebrow at her, looking at her sideways. You're gonna get stomped out, bro. We're gonna deal with you. You will give the elderly respect in my community, because these were people that had attachments to us. These are people that had long ties to us. A lot of the older people in our community knew us before we knew us. You understand what I'm saying? They knew our moms when she was pregnant. They knew us as infants. They knew us as little boys and girls running around the streets. So these are people that have long history inside of this community, and we defended and protected them. And it didn't matter which area of our so-called hood we was in. Even if we wasn't in our neighborhood, we were still in that community. And we treated all the elderlies, or all the elders in that community exactly the same. I mean, from hood to hood down there, because it's still one big community. It's different neighborhoods, but one big community. And we treated all the elders exactly the same throughout that community. Let me pause right here and add this part in, because I thought about this after I was actually editing the video. I thought about this, and I think this is very important. This is very pertinent. I grew up in one house. Literally, I grew up in one house. Me, my brother, and my little sister, we was raised in one house. We never moved. We still own the property, even after Katrina. We sold one of the properties, and the property across the street we still have. This is why our community was so tight, our neighborhood was so tight. Every family on our block owned their houses outright. Every family on the block over that way, over that way, over that way, up there, down there, all own the houses outright. So in order for a community to have that type of investment in it from the men, it requires a very, very, very long time of people being around each other. This is generations and generations. These are all Chickasaws and Choctaw indigenous Americans that settled in that part of the Ninth Ward. And they all had property down there. They all owned land down there. Our families all owned everything down there because we've been here. This was our land, you know what I'm saying? So of course we all had everything. Like where my grandmother's house was, Think of a city block, right? That spans 2 blocks over, 1 block this way, but 2 blocks long, 1 block over. Think about that whole block when you're going down the street, on this side of the street and that side of the street, all the way down for 2 blocks, and then go back this way and then come back down the other way. All that was my relatives. Well, actually, my grandmother's relatives. All that was my grandmother's brothers, sisters, cousins, all that, aunts, uncles, everything. That whole section, right? And that's how every family was down there in the lower ninth ward. Every family had like large swaths of land where all the relatives grew up. And they settled down there around the I think the early 1800s, something like that, right? Mid 1800s, something like that, right? They settled down there around that time, right? Maybe the mid 1800s, right? Those families more than likely knew each other before they settled in the lower ninth ward. So the elderly in our community had deep roots in our community. Our parents had deep roots in the community. You know what I'm saying? We had deep roots in our community. So I just realized that's one of the problems we have, is that we don't have community because we don't invest in community. And I think this is one of the reasons why they're trying to fix it so that you never own property. That's why they're trying to fix it so that you never own property. Because if you don't own property, you don't plant a stake in that environment. You know what I'm saying? You don't pass down a house, because like I have a friend whose parents died tragically young, you know what I'm saying? And he grew up with his grandmother. His grandmother died while he was a teenager, and him and his teenage sister lived in that house by themselves. Something that you can't even do these days. It would be illegal. But they lived in the house by themselves as teenagers, because they had a house that was handed down to them. They didn't have to pay rent or nothing. You know, so times are different, you know what I'm saying? We need to understand that this is why they're doing that. So for all the black families that are coming together, putting together, buying buku acres of land to build a community, y'all doing the right thing, because see what's going to happen is y'all community is going to be different because y'all going to know each other. Your kids are going to know each other. They might fist fight, but they're gonna fight as brothers and not as enemies. You know what I'm saying? And as they grow, it's gonna always be a certain degree of love, a certain degree of protection, and everybody's gonna look out for each other. That is the idea, and this is why they don't want us to own property anymore. So I just thought about that. I had to add this in, you know what I'm saying, because it's a very pertinent point. You know, we need long-term investment in certain environments to have a real community. Community develops over time. It is not just about me and you move here and stay there 2 years and we move somewhere else. That's not a community. And this is why we don't have no kinship towards each other. We moving too much because they don't, the way it is now, it's hard as hell to actually own anything. I mean, even if you have a house right now, a lot of times when you die, that house is going back to the bank. You know what I'm saying? Your kids can't take it. But see how we came up, the houses was given down. Now, right now, because of Hurricane Katrina, that has broken that cycle in the ninth ward. So I don't think a lot of people have generational property anymore. That's deep. I think right now the generational property has been broken, and that was always their goal, to break the generational property. Because when you got generational property, you got a house that your great grandmother might have been in, your grandmother was in it, your mom's was in it, now you in it. Most of my friends that still live in the ninth ward actually live in the houses they grew up in. Their parents are gone, have either died or moved to the country, and they still in the house. A house that they never had a mortgage on. A house that they never had to pay a single dollar of rent on. This is generational property, and this is how you develop, this is how you get ahead as time go on. But they teach us to sell everything. You don't sell, man. You keep your property. But I'm ranting too long. Let me get back to the video. Let's roll. So I say all that to say this. What exactly are black men willing to do? Y'all sit around and always talk the black community. And I've already exposed the fact that most of y'all have never even lived around black people exclusively. So you're not really a part of the black community anyway. Anyway, you are vicariously members of a so-called black community. Most of y'all do not physically and have never physically lived in a black community. You are a stranger to your own people, to be honest with you. So you can stop talking this black community stuff. And let me say this too. Let me add this in. If you grew up around mixed environments or suburbs type environments, that's not a community, bro. These people don't even speak to their neighbors. In a community, everybody talks to everybody. I'm going to say it again. In a community, everybody talks to everybody. When you go on vacation in the community, you got 2, 3 neighbors with keys to your house that can go in there and check on your stuff, make sure everything is okay. No, they might not. Everybody's not to the point where they inviting each other in the house and all. No, we didn't do that, bro. Everybody wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you buddy with everybody. But you are all part of the same community, and therefore you look out for each other. You pay attention to what's going on. You see somebody broke down, you help them. You see somebody need help, you help them. And we all help each other, and that's what make community community. I've lived in the suburbs. I've watched white men at that white boy ran out of gas literally feet away from the damn pump. He had to just push the car up the little hill to the gas pumps. He's struggling out there trying to push his car. I'm way on the other side of the street, not seeing him. I see all these cars going around him, just going around him and keep driving. Going to see the dude struggling, trying to push his car, and not one person got out the car and helped the white boy. But Kush, that come from way over there, I seen it, and I'm watching like, is anybody going to help him before I get there? Nobody helped him. So I get there, I pull over, I get out the car, and I help the boy push his car. Now here's the crazy thing. Once I got out and started helping him push, another guy pulled over, got out and helped. And then another guy, before you know, we had too many people helping. But it took somebody to show them what it's supposed to be. This is what we're supposed to do as human beings. I have another situation living in the suburbs. A lady passed out on the trail inside of the community, right? She's laying on the trail, and I'm walking. I see somebody like they laying down. I'm like, is that somebody laying down? I said, but it can't be nobody laying down. You see somebody on the ground, but like it must be sleep or something because people are walking by her. They got people in front of me, and everybody just walking by her. She's laying down, right on side the trail. Feet actually was still on the trail a little bit. And they were just walking by, walking by, walking by. And when I get close, I take a good look at her and see the lady and then passed out or something. And I help the lady up. I walk her to a bench and everything, you know what I'm saying? I call 911 for her, and I'm like, it's amazing that people actually walked over this lady. See, this is what you think a community is when you get it from white folks. Y'all think that they all for one for all based on race. They are not. They don't give a damn about each other. It's the system that makes them one. It's not the individuals. It's the system. They themselves don't care about each other. But that system lumps them all together just like it lumps us all together. And that's what I try to tell these crazy dudes in the Nation of Islam when they're always talking about white men do this, white men don't do shit. It's the system that does it all. It's not the individual. They ain't running shit on the individual level. They ain't making no moves on the individual level. It's the system that does everything for them. And since we are black Americans, we have no system that safeguards us, so we have to build and create one for ourselves. So now the question is, what are you willing to do to create your own structure, your own communal structure to defend and protect your children so that your children can sit outside at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night like we did when we was only little bitty boys and girls and play it and hide and go seek and not worry about nobody coming through there trying to do us anything. Because the older boys were always sitting outside somewhere on the porches, always standing somewhere just watching. They was around and they had gats. What are you willing to do to protect your youth? I mean, our children have no kind of life anymore. They can't play outside out of fear. You should never be afraid to have your children outside in your community. Your children should be safe in the hood, like I was safe in the hood. What are you willing to do, black man? Because too many of y'all grew up around these white folks in these suburban type environments where y'all don't even know your neighbors. Don't speak to nobody. That's how y'all grew up. So y'all idea of community is all really about individualism and getting yours. But y'all always want to talk about what black people need to do. Y'all are hypocrites. Y'all are hypocrites. You need to stop. You need to be stopped. You have no idea what kind of sacrifice it takes from the men to see to it that you build an actual community. You don't know because you've never seen it. Most of y'all are the offspring of the sorts of blacks that ran away from black people to move around white folks or in mixed neighborhoods. I grew up where we didn't see nothing but blacks. I grew up where our schools had nothing in it but blacks. Our band, I mean, everything all black. Everything all black, everything. That's how I grew up. So don't tell me about what a black community looked like, because I know what it should look like because I'm from one. And that brings me to my final point. Why are y'all consistently listening to people that don't know what they're talking about? Why are y'all listening to the sorts of people that just speak out of their ass and have no real experience to draw from? I can tell you how it should look because I grew up in one. I'm not from the suburbs. I didn't grow up in a mixed environment. I grew up in an all black environment. And life was lovely. My childhood was as good of a childhood as anybody can have. I got nothing but fond memories of growing up in the hood. Nothing but fond memories. Growing up right there in the hood. I know how the old gangsters used to be. How they protected us. They didn't do us anything. They made sure nobody touched us. Look, man, when I was a little boy, somebody that came through the neighborhood and did anything to the kids, they'd have had hell to pay for them old gangsters back in the days, man. Them old gangsters from the 60s and shit, them niggas was gunslingers. Yosemite Sam type dudes. Them dudes didn't play, bro. You wasn't gonna come through there and hurt none of the kids around there because you had to deal with them. Back then, when I was growing up, you wasn't gonna molest no little girl or nothing like that and go sit your ass in jail. Nah, nigga, you about to get it. You about to get all kinds of thunderbolts put up in your ass. You ain't about to make it a trial. They going to put your ass in isolation, man, in protective custody in that bitch. Because these niggas gonna touch you in that mud. This is how it was when you grew up in the community, bruh. You didn't have cats that can hurt children, beat children, delete children, all that. Man, no, you ain't about to sit in jail cool. These days, y'all got all kinds of monsters sitting around, all kinds of predators sitting there doing good, easy time. Y'all kikiing with these niggas, playing with them and joking with them. Nigga done told on everybody and y'all sitting there playing with them. Because y'all have no sense of community. And most importantly, y'all don't understand the sacrifices you gotta make, bro. You gotta make sacrifices, man. You know what I'm saying? What are you willing to do to build this community that y'all talk about y'all won't? What are you willing to invest in this community that y'all talk about y'all won't? What are you prepared to do? I mean, I can go on and on, but I'm gonna stop it there, man. You know what I'm saying? I said enough, so I'm out of here, man. Brother Kush, aka the Black Alpha. Salam.